Ermanni, University of Michigan great Braylon Edwards, and of course, Maz are about to take over on Woodward Sports. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m., it's the best Detroit sports talk on Detroit's best sports network, Woodward Sports.
Hey, let's go! Thursday show, February 27, 2025. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to Woodward Sports. Coming up on 80,000 subscribers on this platform, and my goodness, Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook, hundreds of thousands.
And the millions.
And millions. Well, you know, it's interesting. We were
the final boss.
Braylon Edwards, good afternoon to you. We're just taking a look at, you know, just kind of what we do here and how we do it earlier today. And it is fascinating when you look at just this medium and how the digital space has completely taken over how people watch.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just the clips alone. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. Those two clips, the one Lions clip and the one Michigan clip, it's over 200,000 views. And obviously, you know, we know that 200,000 people are not watching a 2-hour show
100%.
right now. But when you take that clip, that moment of the show, and send it out on all these digital platforms, just the reach that it has. And I think even me to a large extent, because I'm a TV guy, but then I find myself with the TV on, but I'm right like this, watching, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's amazing how our viewing habits and the way we consume media has changed, Brandon.
Yeah, in today's day and age, man, the TV is the background. Like, whatever's on TV is the background. I put a game on, and I'm still on my phone. I'll put a show on, and I'm on my phone, I'm scrolling, man. These 30-second, 15-second, minute clips, that is what we watch. Like, how many times have you tried to watch a TV show or a movie and you just really dial out quick? Like, your attention span is gone now because the 15 seconds, the 30 seconds. I think it started with Vine. Like, Vine and those little 6-second clips, because you were able to get to it quick, and I think that started to condition the mental. Like, all I really need is 6 seconds to pay attention, and slowly but surely, but no, how we consume everything, man, and how we sell things, how you sell ads. Like not broadcasters, but sponsorships. They're not spending ad space on local TV. They're not spending ad space on cable anymore. They're spending ad space on all these sites, all these streaming sites like ours, like other ones. So the world has changed, sir.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We just had a great meeting. You know, with Buddy's Pizza and Buddy's Pizza CEO Joe Dominic, and one of the things when you do things like that, it makes you take a look at your own network. You know, we come in here and we do this every day, and Braylon and I will come in and talk, and we'll do this. But when you actually take a look inward at some of these numbers and some of these different viewing habits and some of these different platforms and how it actually all works in the digital space, it's eye-opening even to a guy like me that's been here at this network for we're coming up on 4 years in August.
Yeah, 100%. It's eye-opening everything, including my checking account.
Tom Mazaway is out again today. We wish Tom the best. He's just not feeling good. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of things going around. Number of people out at my Fox 2 job today, behind the scenes and stuff like that. There is just a sickness that is happening.
There's a lot of people that was out at the gym today. The gym that I work at, the Planet
You
Fitness.
can tell, right?
100%. It's just quiet. It's a lot of people out, and you can feel it in the air. I don't know what it is. And I went out to the game last night. I cannot wait to talk about the Detroit Pistons. But even going to the game last night, it wasn't as filled as I thought it was going to be. And instantly I started thinking, a lot of people are sick. A lot of people have whatever is going around. And even LCA reflected that last night.
It's the weather change. Whenever there's a weather change, that's usually how it is.
100%.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to smell anything in like a month, to be honest with you.
That's cold.
I'll take a daily decongestant, man. You got to keep it in the
That
system.
is right. Ricky Burns with us. Pete Spivak is with us as well. But, gentlemen, let's start with where you were last night, Braylon Edwards. The Detroit Pistons beat the Boston Celtics by 20 points last night at home.
Crazy.
An absolute statement game, in my opinion, against the defending world champion Celtics. And if there was a question about this before last night, 7-game win streak, if there was a question about if this team is real or if they were just, a nice, cute story in the NBA. They had a Celtics team that were the defending champs, that everybody was available, that came in winning 9 of 10, and the Pistons took a 2x4 across their face.
Woo!
So I'll start with this to get this out the way just for all the naysayers and haters and whatever, and it is an honest point. Last night, Jaylen Brown did not play. Jaylen Brown's one of the best players in the NBA. He didn't play last night. With that said, let's get into business. The Celtics came into the game, Ryan, and you can tell they knew what they had on Friday. They have to play against Cleveland in Cleveland. So they were going to try to get the Pistons out of the way early. They were trying to cause fluxes for them. So now you got the Pistons scrambling, and you can sub your starters out by the time you get to the end of the third quarter. That's not what happened. And Cade Cunningham didn't have a great first half. But you know who had a great first half in the game? Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley was hitting, I'm talking about hezzy tween, in space, in between people, knocked down. Three ball was just falling. It got sometimes, Ryan, shots weren't even hitting the net. Straight drops from God. But you just see the intensity in them. Jalen Duren getting second chance opportunities for Cade, who wasn't playing good, but he figured it out in the assist and down the stretch in the second half. But Jalen Duren, Tobias Harris, you see why they bring in some of these vets, man. Tobias Harris, he made an appearance last night, and he was really good. Even rebounding, put second chance opportunities. So JB Bickerstaff gets these guys going. He yells at them, but, it's an intensity that I miss. It's an intensity that you enjoy. You can see he really cares about the players, and he really cares about these Pistons. But it was fun to watch, and this is a real Pistons team because I think so much is put on Cade, and it's like as good as Cade goes, or as far as Cade goes. But to have your superstar not play particularly well, I mean, Jason Tatum made him touch earth last night. He hit him with the wop-wop. But to have a player step up, Malik Beasley was ready for his opportunity, and last night he performed. So pay that man.
That was
Malik Beasley.
That was all out. I feel like I didn't get to catch the entire game. I caught most of the second half. It was just embarrassing for Boston. I feel like they were. It's not like they played like a bad game. They were still trying. They were still doing their normal gameplay, but that was just straight embarrassing. And
Boston.
The Pistons are just.
Yeah, in the first half, Boston made a lot of unforced errors, a lot of turnovers, a lot of missed shots, a lot of buttons and things like that. But that's not what I'm categorizing the game as. Yeah. The Pistons forced them into that 100%. Space. The Pistons were contesting every shot. They were getting steals and transitions to retransition back the other way, man. They were getting rebounds. They weren't allowing Boston to get these second chance opportunities. Yeah. Boston caught fire and hit some threes in the second quarter. Yeah. But after that, once the second half started, man, you can see that the Pistons were not going – and keyword, Ryan, the Pistons were not going to let this game go to Boston or ever be close. Because in the second half, it was an onslaught. And that first 4-minute mark of the fourth quarter, they jumped up to 20. Ryan, I grabbed the keys, and I hit the dough.
And you say 20, that's the worst loss for the Celtics this year.
Yeah.
I know they only have 17 of them, but still their worst loss of the year.
Says a lot.
Right.
It does. I do.
Defending champs.
And obviously the Pistons snapped a 12-game win streak or losing streak against them as well. So when you have a team that you just don't match up well with, when you have a team where history is not on your side, when you have a team that seems to have your number each and every time you play, when you come out and smack that team in the mouth, that says everything about who this team is. And one of the areas where I wanted to go down this road here, Braylon, it's an exciting time for Detroit sports. There's no doubt about it. But I feel a little bit of a momentum shift towards the Pistons when it comes to Detroit sports fans. Obviously, Hockey Town, the Red Wings mean a lot to the people of the sports fans of the city of Detroit. But nonetheless, I feel like there are more people now excited about the Pistons than about the Red Wings. I don't want to – it's like you're picking children here. I don't want to – maybe I do want to do that a little bit. Even though it sounds like I'm doing that, I don't want to do that because I don't want to knock the Red Wings, though. There's a lot of people excited about the Red Wings. They're in the first wild card spot. But when I see these social media clips that the Pistons are setting out, where the players are, dancing and having fun together before the game, when they're dancing and having fun after the game, and all these little moments – You look at this team for what they're doing on the court, but you look at this team for what they're doing off the court as well. You cannot help but fall in love with these guys. You cannot help but fall in love with this basketball team because of not only who they are on the floor, but who they are off the floor as well, which I think is so enticing and makes it so much more fun to root for a team like that than just a bunch of, players that come and they're good and they play and then they go home. That's not what this team is. They look like and play like a family, and I think that says everything about it. That's what gravitates me towards them.
Basketball has always been, the sport that gravitates people is because you can see them. You can see their faces. There's only a couple guys on the team, 12 to 13 guys. You can see their faces. So you can instantly see what this person is, or if you like them. If you like them, you love them. To see a team operate like they do, the dancing before the games, the dancing after the games, it's all about the team. That brings more people in. That brings the city of Detroit in, because that's the type of city Detroit is anyway. But what really does it, Ryan, they have a bona fide superstar. Superstars bring people to the games. Superstars bring people to the television sets, and that's what Cade Cunningham is right now. He's a guy that's been mentioned as All-Pro, as high as All-Pro 1 before All-Star games. So now that you got an All-Pro, now that you have a guy that you can put, as the face of your franchise, the franchise is doing well, and now that you're being in the playoff, people love stars. You see Cade, and I'm not trying to minimize what the Pistons as a collective have done, but people love winning and people love stars. Cade Cunningham is a star that represents the winning for the Detroit Pistons. Like, when's the last time a Piston has been mentioned in terms of fashion for the NBA? He had the coldest sneakers at the All-Star game, and I know that sounds like something trivial. Sneakerheads and things like that, it transcends to fans. It transcends to people. Like, this guy in Detroit, you got to check him out. And, oh, by the way, his team's won 8 in a row.
Cade Cunningham is playing transcendent basketball, too. Braylon, as you were talking, I just looked up on the monitor, and if you are watching live with us, as I looked up, Brian Windhorst was on ESPN talking about the Detroit Pistons and talking about Cade Cunningham and how.
When's the last time the Pistons have been on ESPN?
For a good reason? For a good reason?
Exactly.
Probably 2008.
Yeah.
For a good reason.
I agree.
But nonetheless, talking about how Cade Cunningham has better numbers, is having a better season than any other guard in Pistons history. And when you look up at the rafters and you see Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars and some of the great guards that this organization has had, to say that Cade Cunningham is having a better season than any of those Hall of Fame players, single season, that says something about who this player is. And he goes on to talk about how the Detroit Pistons are a team not only that are going to make the playoffs, but this is the team that now you look at and you say they could do some serious damage in it.
Yeah, Rick, I'm going to get you involved after this. I want to answer this. It's because of the depth as well. When you have guys in leadership and you have veterans, you have Tobias Harris, you have Tim Hardaway Jr., shout out to Go Blue. You have, now you have a superstar in Cade Cunningham. You got guys on the bench that are ready to step in. And when they get their opportunity, they're ready to make plays, and they're giving a ton of energy. Asar Thompson, every time he comes to the game, man, he is ready. He's on both ends of the court. He's a nightmare. He's causing steals. He's getting rebounds. He's flying to rim. Hollins as well. Sasser, yesterday you saw it. They're playing invigorated because they got a celebrity, because they have a star, and because they have team play. Now, when you get into the playoffs, that's how you beat teams in the playoffs. It's a team game. It's not just 1 or 2 or 3 players. You got to have a bench, and you got to have guys that buy in, and that's what the Pistons are, Rick.
Yeah, and you're going back to your personality point. I feel like that's a Detroit sports thing. Like, Detroit is such a personality-driven place that we always fall in love with our personalities and trends and stuff like that. Think about University of Michigan now. They do the buffs for turnovers.
100%,
like, we fall in love with our personality. When Zadarius first came here, he went to the Pistons game with the Branch shirt. Like, we love personalities. I feel like that's something you almost have to have.
The Rasheed Wallace jersey.
Not only that, though, Ricky, but you fall in love with teams. You fall in love with people and players where it's about the team. I don't know if anybody saw the Cade Cunningham post-game interview last night on the floor, but it was Tim Hardaway that came up to Cade Cunningham. It was Dennis Schroeder who came up to Cade Cunningham, so happy for their teammate. It wasn't about Hardaway in that moment. It wasn't about Schroeder, who didn't even play in that moment. But the love for a teammate, I think, is so telling about who these guys are and why it makes it so much more cooler and so much more fun to root for this basketball team.
And the reason why they came up to Cade Cunningham after the game, it goes back into what I said. When I said he didn't have he had a bad game in the first half, I wasn't hating. I was being honest. A lot of these superstars, when they're having a slump game, they still gonna jack it from the 3-point line the whole game. Like, they're legitimately, until it goes in, dribble tween Hezzy, make it an ISO game. It's me versus the player in front of me. Versus, all right, I'm having an off game. Yeah. How can I still affect the game? And that's what Jason Tatum does good. Cade's starting to do it. I can't drop shots, but I'm going to get to the hole. I'll get fouled. I'll get to the free throw line, get my guys involved. That's why his assist numbers went up, and he finished with 11 assists. He found ways. Rebounding. You know what? Shoot, I'm not hot. I'm cold. Let me rebound it. Who's the open man? Let me kick it. Let me start the transition fast break. So he found ways to affect the game, even though he wasn't having a good game shooting-wise, and that's what his team recognizes. You got guys that are like, you know what, I appreciate that. He didn't just try to shoot 60 shots to get his 35 or his 38. He found ways to get us involved.
In the YouTube chat, I think what Stephen Baffy sent us is exactly, how people are now coming on board. I'm not a Pistons fan, and I don't watch them, but I have checked out the highlights of recent games, and I'm sitting here now in the chat room talking about them. I mean, it is like this slow progression. Not a Pistons fan, but now on board and chatting about it, right? It's like you're pulling people from all different walks of life. You're pulling from sports fans and non-sports fans because of the story that it's become. I talk about this all the time. What was the story of the NFL? What was the story you need a story to grab onto, and the Pistons have become the best story in the National Basketball Association this year, bar none. The best story in the NBA is the Detroit Pistons, and I think now you see the national coverage. Brian Windhorst, Stephen A. Smith, everybody jumping on board. I want to talk about Stephen A., something he said in just a minute, but the story is what people latch on to, sports fans and non-sports fans. That's what's exciting to me as well.
No, 100%. And the story, Brian, not to be disrespectful, it's not the NBA, it's all of sports. All of sports right now, it's the Detroit Pistons. They've increased their win total 38% since last year. Last year, when we were talking about it before the season, we were laughing if they were going to get to 15. Like, I went out on a limb because Anson, shout out to Anson, he kind of pushed my hand. I went to 30. I didn't think they were going to win 18 games. But here we are. They're the story in sports, and it's the team aspect of it. People love to watch a team do something. They hate watching the one guy that's great and then, it's David Ruffin and the Temptations. Like, they don't want to see David Ruffin and the Temptations. They want to see the Temps. And right now, the Pistons are playing like the Temps, man. Everybody is sharing in the glory. And the thing that I love that they do is the belt. They got that Pistons championship belt. And after every game, somebody who has won it before or the person that currently has it passes it to the next person. And I've said this before. Everybody gets involved. It's not just Cade Cunningham or Malik Beasley that's taking that belt home on a consistent. Everybody on the team takes the belt for a different turn or for a different play in the game or different intensity or effort.
The Pistons have won 33 games this year. They have won 31 games the previous 2 years combined.
Wow.
That's where the excitement is coming from. The excitement is coming from, yes, Cade Cunningham, but also Jalen Duren, also Asar Thompson, who somebody in the chat had mentioned nearly broke Jason Tatum's ankles last night.
It was nasty.
Skates.
It was nasty. I have not. He was disoriented. It's one thing to see somebody make somebody touch the earth. It's another thing when they don't even know where the hell the offender went. He got spent around so bad. He was like, what the hell?
It was like an and one mixtape.
It was nasty.
It was like an and one
And they kept showing it. He felt bad too. Like Jason Tatum, he instantly came down, tried to shoot a 3-pointer from half, got a quick foul because he was pissed. It was cold.
All right, so Stephen A. Smith this morning on First Take was talking about the Detroit Pistons, and one of the things that he wanted to be very clear was he thought that people should start saying the name Troy Weaver. He thinks that Troy Weaver should get a ton of credit for this Pistons team because of the drafting of Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson. He thought that people should put some respect on Troy Weaver's name. And, for us here in Detroit, I want to talk about that a little bit because, yes, he drafted 4 key players in this turnaround. But does that mean that you are a capable general manager? And I question that because, for me, he made a terrible decision in hiring Monty Williams.
Right.
So he cost his owner $80 million. He never surrounded those young players with any veteran talent whatsoever. And I know these younger players have developed. They have come around. But it was Trajan Langdon who signed Tobias Harris. It was Trajan Langdon who hired J.B. Bickerstaff. It was Trajan Langdon who traded for Tim Hardaway Jr. It was Trajan Langdon who signed Malik Beasley. I mean, though that is how you make a basketball team. Yes, you need talent. Absolutely. And he deserves credit for that. But if you're going to give Troy Weaver credit for this Pistons team, I want you all to give credit to Bob Quinn for Brad Holmes' teams as well, because he drafted the most important part of that offense, of the identity of the team, that offensive line. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And it's not just one thing. Sure, if you want to get sure, tip your cap, it's great. But just because you do a couple of good things doesn't erase all of the bad things that you did as well. Bob Quinn, in my opinion, deserves no credit for the Detroit Lions' success.
And neither does Troy Weaver.
Thank you.
Troy Weaver, you don't deserve any credit, Troy Weaver. Cade Cunningham, it was down to Cade or Jalen. Jalen has 4 kids. He's year 3. You knew you weren't going to draft Jalen because Cade was a better player and Cade was focused on the game. Jalen was a kid. Like, that was an easy decision. Asar Thompson, you get no credit for that because they were going to draft him in order. His brother was going to go first, and which one didn't get drafted, the other one was going to get drafted. So he doesn't get credit for Asar Thompson. How do you win 38% more of your games in 1 year being gone? Now, you don't get credit for that. The Pistons won how many games last year?
14.
And now they're at 33?
More than double.
That's no coincidence. He didn't understand the assignment. He did not understand the assignment fully. I'm not going to give you credit. Jay Nivey also. Like, every mock that we saw, and let me not discredit front office people for paying attention to mocks. Every mock that we saw with Jay Nivey was to the Pistons. He was going to be the best player there. Every mock we saw, it was Cade or Jalen, and then it got down to Cade because he was the better overall player. Every mock that we saw was Asar Thompson. You don't get credit for drafting the 4 best players in the draft when your slot is up. I'm not giving you credit for that. Now, Jalen Duren, I give you credit for that one. Jalen Duren was a good pickup. Killian Hayes, oh, by the way, you're still drafting him.
And I'll tell you this much too, Bray. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that Cade Cunningham is the player that he is this year if Troy Weaver is still the general manager of this team.
No, because Malik Beasley wouldn't be here. Neither would Tobias Harris, and neither would Tim Hardaway Jr.
And even if one of those guys would be here, it takes so much more than just drafting talented players.
Hear me out on this, and let me calm down. You knew Troy Weaver wasn't the guy for the job, and I'm not giving him any credit. I know this incident has nothing to do with drafting or the front office, but it is just an example of him not being the right man for the job. Remember last year when people were saying he was a bad GM? He got mad and had those people ushered out of the stadium? Like, why are you paying attention to fans saying that you're a bad GM? It's because they triggered something in you. You don't think you're a good GM, but you don't want anybody to know that. He wasn't the right guy for the job, and he doesn't deserve any credit because it's not like he found diamonds in the roughs in Asar, Jaden, or K Cunningham.
Put a bow on this Pistons conversation with this, Bray. How far realistically can this team go? Wendy was just talking about this team could do some serious damage in the postseason. What does serious damage mean? Does that mean knock off the Knicks in round 1? Does that mean knock off one of the big boys, meaning the Celtics or the Cavaliers, in round 2? Because that feels like, I'm not going to say they can't do it. Getting to an Eastern Conference final, and I don't want to get over my skis here. I really don't. But it's hard not to get excited about these guys right now. Could they compete with the Cavs in a 7-game series? I don't know if they can compete with the Celtics. The Celtics in a second-round series feels very, I don't want to say insurmountable, but very close to insurmountable. They're the defending champs. They would have home court. It would be tough for this team to win 4 times in 7 games, I think. But I absolutely believe they can win a series against the Knicks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and this is where I'm at with it. It's fun to watch, and it's exciting to talk about, and I love what they're doing, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. They're not beating the Celtics. They're not beating the Cleveland Cavs. Mm-hmm. When it gets to the playoff time and that intensity changes, they're not beating Donovan Mitchell, Collins, what's his name, Darius Garland. When those guys turn up, they've been to the second round. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then the Knicks, maybe if they get lucky. The Knicks are just the perfect storm of not trusting Cat in the playoffs, him not showing up. But he showed up last year. And I think for the Pistons, getting to the playoffs will be exciting. If they play the Knicks, the Celtics, or the Cavs, they're getting popped. But I'm excited they're there.
Ricky, what does being legitimate, a team that could do some legitimate damage mean to you?
This is a different conversation for me since that game yesterday. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I mean, they can beat the Knicks. I think they can beat the Knicks. But, yeah, like you said, 7 games against Boston, I don't know. But I'll be happy with the first round. I mean, I'm already happy, but I'll definitely be happy with winning the first round. I think they can handle the Knicks. I'm with you.
And even just to win a playoff game. Sorry, Pete. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to say, I saw exactly.
You have the.
Well, no. Well, aside from that,
okay.
but we're past
Sure.
that anyway. But I was going to say to you, Ryan, if you guys remember what I was bringing up yesterday, what do you guys want to see in the game tonight? You know, going back to yesterday, Pistons versus Boston, that would really prove to you the Pistons have advanced to that next level of confidence in your mind. And guess what? They absolutely did exactly what you want to see a team do last night, and it was a beautiful, beautiful sight. And then a star, Thompson, against was absolutely on fire. That Jason Tatum, Deke, Bray was just incredible. And again, the energy the Pistons provided, and I know the Boston Celtics were on that back-to-back guys, but the energy the Pistons provided, they showed you exactly where their heart is. It was a beautiful sight to watch.
No, they're legit. Like, the Detroit Pistons are legit. And I said, you see the excitement I started the show with, I still have the same excitement. But when we're talking about the playoffs and you're talking about the best of 7, that's where it changes. Like, how do you respond when you played your best game as Cade Cunningham or Malik Beasley, and at the end of the game, Donovan Mitchell hits a 3 in the corner, undoing everything that you've done. So now you're down 0-1. How do you respond in game 2? How do you pick yourself back up if you've never been there? If you don't know what that feels like, how do you respond when you're down 0-2? It's like, oh, shoot, 0-2. So it's like when you get to the playoffs, and it's way different than getting up for a night at your crib, putting everything balls to the wall in a day off tomorrow. It's different in the playoffs.
No doubt.
And they haven't been there yet to experience that. So I think getting to the playoffs and winning, they win 2 games in the first round of a playoff game, more than excited for this Pistons season. Like, I think a realistic ceiling, winning 2 playoff games.
No doubt.
I'd be happy.
Very exciting. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys, going to take a break. We're going to talk some NFL draft coming up at the top of the hour, go through some NFL stories as well. It is an exciting time to be a Detroit sports fan. We'll go through some NFL topics, including some Lions, coming up next. But first, a message from Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. It's Les Stanford Sign and Drive. So you'll get a 2024 Envision for only $239 per month, or a 2025 Sierra Crew Cab Elevation, only $249 per month. What about a 2025 Hummer EV SUV? $789 per month, 0 security deposit, 0 due-it signing, 0 first month payment. Hi, Braylon. There you go. Good job, Braylon. 0 acquisition, zeros for a while, baby. Get to Les Stanford today. Check out their massive inventory, or click on that QR code above my head right there. Les Stanford Buick GMC, LesStanford.com, LesStanford.com. Together, let's drive.
Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon, and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsAndSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
Hey, gang, let me tell you about Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Lady Jane's, we take the chore out of getting a haircut. Our talented stylist will deliver an industry-leading haircut, relaxing scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
When did you stop the barbershop haircut experience and start going to Lady Jane's and getting like the scalp massage and the neck, the whole service?
Well, I started to do it probably about 8 years ago.
Okay.
Because I was doing some things here at Lady Jane's with a partnership with Fox 2. And I would come in and I'd get my hair cut, and then you do a little bit more. Because, like, as a guy, like, I just went to the barbershop and then that was it. Went to the barbershop, and then that was it. You get your hair cut. Well, I'd get the haircut and I'd be like, no, I don't want it. It'd be like, do you want it? No. Well, then I said yes. And after I said yes one time, that was it.
Yeah.
So it was about 8 years ago. It was a little bit irregular, and then 4 years ago, it's just like I can't not get all that now.
I like
you know what I mean? Because it's a relationship you have with your stylist. You know what I mean? Like, you have, we all have.
Or the doctor.
It's cute women.
Right. Well, but,
that are talented.
Becca, who I used to go to here. Shout out you, Becca. And then she moved to Florida, and I now have been with Bethany for some time. You just know when you go to a dedicated person that knows what you don't have to say, oh, do this, do that, do that. And then you're like, oh, what's this? I mean, somebody that you have a bit of a relationship that knows what kind of haircut you like. It's
much
the
easier.
Best.
I much would rather have Becca or Bethany massage my scalp. I'm not letting my boy JD massage the scalp.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm not letting my barber
right. But again, even if you have somebody dedicated that you have been with for a long time,
get your hair washed.
I mean, you can come get pampered. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie. I'll be thinking about it from time to time.
Come get pampered.
Facials. Pause.
Like, seriously, there's so many different services that they'll provide to pamper you.
my father was a judge and a lawyer, and so he had to look the part back in the 70s and 80s, and he went to the same barber for like 25 years because it was the barber knew the style, he was comfortable with it. So I agree. The barber's like part of the family, man.
Small downtown with like the red, blue and white painting in the window. The barber
absolutely.
I got the porcelain white.
You know what I'm talking about.
As soon as you said it, I saw it.
Yeah, right.
Let me get
got the leather strap.
I bet your barbershop got a picture of Obama in it.
Hey, that's racial profile.
No, I'm saying mine does too.
My boy cut out of a suite. He cuts out of a suite.
Oh, he got his own.
Individual. Shout out to JD. He's in Franklin.
I keep hearing about this Trick. Was Trick on today with the Big D Energy guys?
Trick lost me, man. His endorsement, man.
Trick
lost me with the endorsement.
He was at Fox 2 yesterday.
Yeah.
And apparently he was here today. I don't know what, but what a guy like.
Me and him
like he's a heck of a guy, man.
you started a rapper like he's
got
deep.
energy.
Like Trick is a good dude.
I just talk as a person. Like I don't even know about the music. I just like the people of, you know what I mean? When you can be a star and be like a normal guy, that to me, like you.
Yeah.
Or D-Mac. These are normal people.
Trick
you know what I mean? Not
Trick.
like these mega stars that will try to stick their nose up at you or anything like that. It's
Trick is tricky because he's so cool and down to earth and all that, but legitimately he can hit one button and you disappear.
You could disappear. Yeah, right.
You disappear.
Well, we love Trick around here. Right? Hey, just quickly, I want to give some acknowledgement to the Michigan State Spartans. Shot of the year last night in college basketball, 58-55. Trey Holloman from beyond half court last night for the winner. All I could think about last night was my friend Greg Canner, who is the executive sports producer at Fox 2, who is a Maryland grad, who lives and breathes Maryland athletics, and was so excited for that game last night. I was watching the finish, and I was like getting ready to text him for what we all hoped was a Maryland win, and dribbling down. Why do you shoot a three-pointer with 4 seconds to go from that far out? And I'm getting ready to text him, and then I see it, and I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. I can only imagine how all those Maryland fans felt.
I was going to start.
I've not even texted them yet. Give them the 24-hour rule. What is the rule?
Right. You can hit him up now. So it's a tough loss. Yeah, I'll start with that side of it, then I'll get to the Michigan State side. Brian, that's the NBA today. That's college basketball today. That's the sport of basketball today. It is the deep three that Steph, Dame Lillard, and others, James Harden, the step back three. Like, that's the moment. And you get put in these situations where this is something that he has been doing at practice for the last 3 months. Like, 2, 1, shot from deep. You could have kicked it in. There were a bunch of things you could do, but this is this style of basketball, so I'm not even mad at it. He missed it. The Michigan State side, that's how I know I'm still a sports fan and not just caught up on some rivalry with Michigan State or Michigan when greatness happens, it's celebrated. When he hit that shot, I was like, that's a hell of a shot. I'm glad they won that on that type of shot. I was happy they won.
Right.
Because it's a great moment. I'm a sports fan more than anything else, man. Hell of a shot by Holman. He launched it perfect. Like, he knew. Man, he knew when he let it go.
Yeah, he did.
He knew when that was a long shot, too.
And I think everybody in that building knew.
Like, Maryland fans were like, you knew it was going. Michigan State fans were up before I think the ball even went in.
Right.
Yes.
To your point.
That was an explosion.
It felt like the tournament.
Yeah, no doubt. It was a great college basketball game, and I kind of do like the knockdown, drag out, old school Big Ten 55-55 game.
I agree.
That was really well done.
Old school.
So Michigan State, again, sole possession of first place in the Big Ten, if that matters to some.
Izzo, man,
if that
Izzo's
matters
finding a
to
way.
you.
What would it mean if
Right.
Izzo won 2 this year?
I think it'd be great. I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd be thrilled for Tom Izzo. I would love to see him get multiple titles.
Where does it move him? Anybody can answer. In the pantheon of college coaches, because right now we know he's one of the best ever, but he's hampered by only winning 1. We won't move him into a new
One
tier,
of 8.
whatever that tier is. Does he move a tier? Like, where would he be in the tiers? Because who's tier 1?
I think
Bobby Knight, Wooden, Krzyzewski, Dean Smith,
Self.
and
Adolph Rupp.
no. I mean, I'm just talking.
Oh, yeah, the ones
let's
we
do
know.
the last like 50 years.
Okay, so that's it.
Like I mean, Rupp is before that.
No, I'm saying like the ones we named.
Yeah, Wooden, Coach K,
Yes.
Dean Smith, Roy Williams, Bill Self.
That's what Pete said. I don't put him in there with them. Like I feel like he's in the tier, even though he's got 2. Even though he has 2, I feel like he's on the same level as Tom Izzo.
Calipari,
Tom Izzo's level.
Rick Pitino.
Tom Izzo's level.
I mean, Rick Pitino, if he gets to the Final Four this year with St. John's, that's 4 programs that he's taken to the Final Four.
Now he goes to tier 1.
Right.
Oh, Bobby Knight was the other one.
Bobby
Bobby
Knight.
Tier 1.
What about Jay Wright?
Tier 2, but I understand. He's
Tier
won
2. He's won.
2 out of 3 years. What did he do those other years?
Well, I mean, Billy Donovan won back-to-back. I mean.
He's tier 3.
What about Dan Hurley right now?
Dan Hurley right now, I mean, is as
Tier
impressive.
Yeah. Tom, yeah. But
Anybody in the chat weighing in on this?
yeah,
For me, I think that it would definitely improve him. And I mean, he's 1 of 8. I mean, at least he's got there 8 times. I mean, that's spectacular. But now, to Ryan's point, what do we talk about? How many Final Fours you get? Great, you got 8, but he's only got 1 of 8. I would just like to see, at least for the Michigan State fans, at least number 2.
Yeah. What's about Nolan Richardson? He's a good one. Tarkanian.
God, I'm trying to think if there's somebody else out there. Coach K, John Wooden, Dean Smith, Bob Knight, Roy Williams. That's those 5. Okay,
I agree.
Those 5.
That's the mountaintop.
All right. How about next level? You ready?
Yeah.
How about Jim Calhoun? 3 national titles.
Yes. 100%.
Bill Self, 2 national titles, multiple Final Fours.
Boeheim.
Jim Boeheim is not. I mean, he was at that school
Good
for
name,
a long
Syracuse.
time.
Yeah, good
He
name.
only, but once again, he only has 1,
Does he have 1 or 2? 1 with the Carmelo,
and that's it.
and then Danny Manning. Did he win with Danny
I don't
Manning?
think he won. Did he?
Danny
Danny Manning was in Kansas.
Tom, when you talk about the great head coaches, Coach K, Wooden, Dean Smith, Bob Knight, Roy Williams, Jim Calhoun, Bill Self, Jay Wright, Rick Pitino.
Right.
When you throw Tom Izzo in there, he is the only coach in that group that has 1 national title.
Yeah.
So when you talk about those 10 guys, and notice I didn't put Calipari in because Calipari's only got 1. When you talk about that stature, he's the only one that has 1.
I think too, with those coaches that you named that are in tier 1, like pretty much every year of their existence at that school, or what we famed them for, we know they're getting to the Elite 8. Like we know they're we assume they're getting to the Elite 8 because they did, or the Sweet 16. Like they're not getting out in the first round. They're not getting out in the second round. Michigan State has a lot of first round exits, and second round exits, and I think that goes onto your card as well. Because when you name those other coaches, they're not getting out in the first round or the second round. They're making it to the Sweet 16, Elite 8 on average.
Yeah, it's something to think about.
Yeah.
So when did Ryan and Braylon become Sparties? I think it's not that we're Sparties. It's I think I can speak for both of us. We have so much respect for Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
We respect that man probably more than any other opposing coach in sports. We love him.
First of all, I know this is rage based, so I won't take it. But what about this makes me a Spartan lover? Like I didn't even say I like Tom Izzo, although I do. I just simply said last night and hit an amazing shot. And then we said if Michigan State won their second, what would that do for Tom Izzo? Where would that move him in the pantheon of coaches? I think you need to understand what the content is before you comment.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I do think that we both have tremendous respect for him. There's no doubt about it. And I am rooting for him to get a second national title. I would say that if Michigan doesn't win it this year, I hope Michigan State does. And that makes me whatever. But I will root for Tom Izzo, not so much Michigan State, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
I will root for what Tom Izzo has done for the state of Michigan to have Michigan State really be so relevant for the better part of 25 years because of his leadership.
Yeah.
I think it's made Michigan, in a way, like that's the guy you want to compete with, right? I mean, if you are in a state with Tom Izzo, you have to compete with Tom Izzo. So I think in a roundabout way, and not even a roundabout way, in a pretty direct way, Tom Izzo has forced Michigan to get with the program. Tom Izzo's success at Michigan State has forced the Michigan athletic program to take basketball seriously, to continue to improve its own self. And they did that by hiring
Dusty May.
Well, Dusty May for sure, but John Beilein before that.
Yeah.
And what John Beilein did for Michigan basketball, I mean, John Beilein essentially took Michigan basketball and made it a basketball school for a number of years. And I'm not sure if Tom Izzo isn't who he is at that university less than an hour away, who knows if that happens, if that John Beilein type tenure at Michigan ever happens.
You weren't confident in the Tom Amaker years?
No,
kidding.
I
I'm
wasn't. I wasn't confident in the Brian Ellerby years, in the Tommy Amaker years.
Tommy Amaker was hired because of all the stuff that happened under the sanctions.
Right.
Brought him in
Right.
as a straight lace from Duke.
Right.
Brought him in. Tommy always thought he was gonna get that job at Duke, by the way, but brought him in for the straight lace things. Yeah, like Tom Izzo doesn't have a national title since Beilein's been the head coach of Michigan.
That's right.
He had a lot of good teams in that realm. Man.
Just a point about Boeheim, one national championship. It was the Carmelo Anthony. I thought he had won one with Danny Manning, just made the Final Four with Danny Manning. It was 5 Final Fours in 47 years.
Yeah, that's tough.
I don't think that's all that great.
Nah.
You know what I mean? No, I
Good coach.
kill me for that now.
You can
Kill me for saying Boeheim's not great. But
you.
in 50, so you're basically making a Final Four once every 10 years.
I'll roll that boat.
You know what's funny?
It's okay.
I got one for you. You know how I feel about that? It's like when receivers have 130 catches and have like 1,200 yards, and people are like, "Oh my God, he was killing this year." Yeah, and I'm like, he's averaging like 8 yards a catch.
Right.
I can't stand it. That's the same.
Right. No doubt.
that's funny.
No doubt. I want to get to some NFL if we could. This was pretty funny. I wonder if you did this, Braylon, when you were a player, did you vote on...
Yeah, I voted for Obama and
He's a comedian.
You're like Johnny Carson.
little comic relief here on
All right.
Woodward Sports.
I'm tighten up.
Did you vote for all of these different things from the NFLPA on coaches and owners and things like that?
Yeah.
Well, the report cards came out yesterday.
They did.
And there are some interesting things. 1,695 players voted in this.
Yes.
And some of the scores. The Lions head coach, by the way.
How many players voted?
My bad.
1,690 players.
Okay. I was doing the math in my head. Got you.
Yeah. I don't know.
77%.
Oh, I was to say. I
Oh,
was just about to ask how many
77% of those players participated.
Okay. That's what I was saying. I was like, that number's
Do we
a little
have
light.
those report cards?
I had the Lions, and then I have the Bengals
So
story.
as
You don't have
I'll
the
tell-
Fox one?
I don't have the
Okay,
Fox one.
no
No
problem. Here.
Let me find it for you.
No,
but
that's
go
all
ahead.
right. I can work around it. I can work around it.
These are always funny. So what happens is they usually do this, Ryan, within the last month of the season. So it's always in December, and they have us in, and it's usually they'll coaches say, "Hey, look, guys, you know what time it is. We're gonna pass all these cards out. Y'all know what it is. Fill the card out how you believe. Vote what you feel is true." And they'll leave the room, and the guys are just sitting there and just talk about like what we feel.
Here we go. I got
everything is. So kitchen, we'll be like, food's not necessary. But anyway, it's a collective of guys, and we figured it out together. Takes like 25 minutes. We crack jokes. We fill it out. I've been on some teams where it's much easier because things are really good. Service is nice. The ownership is nice. You do appreciate where you are. and I've been on some teams where everything is dirt.
I found it too, right?
What that team was. So, but it's always interesting. People are honest.
I found it too.
Okay, which one are you putting
The head coach
first?
one?
Yep, head coach first.
Yes, sir.
Great, okay. So this is how the NFLPA team report cards stand for head coaches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Six teams.
Chicago.
6 teams had A+.
This is BS.
A pluses for their head coach. Washington, Atlanta, Minnesota, Kansas City, Detroit, and Miami. What's BS about it?
So there's no D's or F's.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
So Matt Eberflus is a C.
You see what I'm
Like
saying?
this,
Right.
see this,
Well, C gets you fired.
but this is the new era we live in.
Jacksonville coach
It's
fired.
too nice. You said it
Like,
too nice?
yes, we live in that too nice. Nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings. Like, be honest.
Right.
Like, Matt, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you should see.
Good call, Bray.
You know what I'm surprised by? Do you have that head coach? Can you
Yeah.
stick that?
Yes, I'll put it back
Yeah.
up.
You should see at least a D minus up here somewhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got 20 teams in the A range, by the way.
yeah.
A plus to A minus. 20 of the 32 teams have A
Raiders,
plus.
A minus.
A minus. Now let me give you a stunner for me.
Right. These players are scared that they're reading these.
Here, look at this graphic, Braylon, and you tell me the team that is not in the A range that you would have bet your life would have been in the A range.
First one on, talking about who's got it better than us?
Yes.
Who's got it better than us?
I am shocked that the LA Chargers don't have Jim Harbaugh in the A range. When 20 of 32 teams have voted to have their head coach in the A range, to see Jim Harbaugh not be one of those is a little bit shocking to me because of what we see on social media. I mean, the players seem to love this guy from what we see in the locker room.
They think he's weird.
They think he's weird.
Jim Rose
They
people
think
just
he's weird.
Jim Rose people the
They
wrong
think
way.
he's good weird.
Yeah.
They think he's good weird, but they think he's weird.
Good
Yeah,
word.
they don't think they know because we know as well. Jim's a weird guy. He's a quirky guy. And I played for him when I was San Francisco 49ers. I know him well. He's a quirky guy. What he does works. And that's why you see a B+. Because if it was just quirky and okay, he would have a C. But it works. But people, at least this team could be honest. A lot of teams up here are not honest.
Right?
Right.
What's the next one you have there?
I had the Lions.
Great. Do you have the owner one?
I do have the owner's
give me the
one.
owner
Yes.
one.
We'll start with the A's.
The owner ones I want because you don't see the Lions in the A range. Okay.
Interesting.
You don't see the Lions in the A range, but one of the things you do see in the A range is you see the Vikings, the
whole
Packers,
division.
and the Bears.
Right.
So if this is a division standings, you are in last place. Now, we love Sheila Ford Hamp here. We love Sheila. She's done a tremendous job, but I am a little shocked at that as well.
Yeah, I don't know what that be. I don't know what that could be. You know, it seems as though a lot of what you judge the owner as is the owner present, is the owner around, and from what we see, more than any owner in Detroit history, Sheila Hamp is around. She is available. She does comment. She's at practice. She's at Allen Park. So check. She's around. Seems like she supports everything that is Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and the players. It seems like there's a amazing rapport there. So check that box. I don't understand why she wouldn't be in the A range. Excuse me. They paid everybody. I don't know. I don't know what that could be about. Like, has she taken a back seat since 21, 22, 23? Like, did 24 she take a step back? Because that maybe is a thing. We saw her a lot in 21, 22, 23. Did you see her as much in 24? That's the only reason that players give them bad grades or dock the grades.
Because not top of mind, like top of what is the saying? Top of mind, top of what is it?
Out of
Out of
sight.
sight,
out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Is it because of kind of that? Maybe was she
I think
not around? We don't know. This is a little bit more of a
This is a B plus?
This is a little bit more of a, and I don't want to make a big deal of it because the first one there is in the B plus range is Detroit there. So it's not like they don't like the owner. It's just like, and you don't know how
It's
these
just
things
like
are
Jim
graded.
Harbaugh.
And we are just picking these things apart, but it is like a Jim Harbaugh.
B+.
And I don't think there's anybody that would look at the video of post-game celebrations and say that Jim Harbaugh is not liked by the players. Same thing.
Almost be somebody being funny, too.
Absolutely. B+ is pretty good. When you go down here, though, and you see some of these ownership teams, I'm surprised by...
This makes sense.
I'm surprised by Kansas City in the C- range. On the last row there, I am surprised by Kansas City. I am surprised by Pittsburgh. And I am surprised by New England.
All franchises that don't play payers money. Same thing we talked about last year with the Kansas City Chiefs. We said because they were a C
great point,
on this list, and you're like, how the hell could they be a C? And they're back-to-back champions. That's because they only play Patrick Mahomes, they only pay the left tackle Toomey, they're only paying Chris Jones, and they only paying Travis Kelce. And those are the ones in all the commercials. And Andy Reid. That's how guys are. I know you guys look at me like, oh, that's selfish. I didn't say this is my thing, but that's what it is. The ownership, when they look at the owner, they see the owner as the one that refuses to pay us and wants to pay these 4 individuals only. So it's the owner's fault. And since we're grading the owner, you don't want to pay anybody else except them. You're all right. You're a C. That's how you get a C.
There was one owner and one
Pittsburgh
only,
doesn't pay anybody but you're on defense.
There was only one owner that got an F there, Braylon, and it's somebody that you know very well. It's Woody Johnson.
He deserves it. Like, he deserves it. What this franchise has done in the last 5 years, like the things that they've done, just from the standpoint of hiring a coach, but then not giving the coach all the ammo, not giving him all the information, still drafting for this coach, drafting players that you didn't necessarily vet the situation. Like, you risked it all on Aaron Rodgers, and I don't fault you for that because you were doing a desperation move. All right, but you didn't prepare. You didn't know what Aaron Rodgers couldn't be. You didn't have a backup plan, and now you have the situation that's just gone awry. You have wasted that defense. That defense was so good 2-3 years ago. That defense was amazing. But you didn't have a quarterback. You didn't have offense. You keep picking the wrong offensive lineman. And then to just get in the media, and now you're poking the bear and you're stoking the fire. Hey, that's just not how you run an organization. And we in the media can just watch as your team, my Jets, it just goes further and further. And we can watch it live every day on TV.
Pete, let me see the Lions grades.
You want the Lions?
Yeah,
You got my
give me
friend.
the Lions stuff.
Oops.
Just the individual grades. And here's a look. Overall ranked 9 out of 32. Treatment of families, B. Food in the dining area. Oh, I feel bad for the chef. B-, that's 19th. The nutritionist, B. That's 23rd in the league. Locker room. They don't like the locker rooms. Training room, good. Training staff, good. I think a B is good, right? Strength coaches, they love that. Team travel, a B+. The head coach, A+, and ownership, a B+. So really it seems like the real problem with the Lions
is they have an old facility.
Yeah, I mean, their food and their locker room.
That's an old facility.
Right.
Like, because they're judging the locker room. Like, the stadium is old at this point, even though it sounds crazy because something 25 years old.
But I think they're talking about Allen Park,
But
too.
that's I was getting there.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's also year 2000 when it opens. Like, that's old. Like, they're in the same facility structure that I went to on my interview with the Lions back in 2005. It looks the exact same. Like, that's what they're complaining about locker. Everything is now jazzy. You see how Michigan lockers looks?
Right.
Michigan locker room looks like that's what you want. You want the comfortable seats. You want the cleat space. You want to have a locker next to you. It's all about the plugs and things like that. You want to have that players lounge be jazzed up for whatever you guys enjoy. Pool tables, ping pong tables, sound system. Here's a gaming center over there. That's where that C comes in. Like, look, this 2025, I know y'all got money. Spend it. That's how the players feel.
That's right.
What?
I didn't want to jump on you again. I've been stepping on y'all's show, and I apologize. I didn't want to do it again. I've been stepping on y'all's show. I'm sorry. I was just making sure you finally had enough time to have a clear thought.
My apologies.
I love you, buddy.
I love you too, buddy.
Guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, workout day, NFL Combine in Indianapolis. We're going to talk to our good friend Russ Brown, who's down there, NFL Combine, Indianapolis. Lucas Oil will do that next. But first, a message from Caesar.
Everybody out there, get ready for the end NCAA March Madness by scanning that QR code above my head and using the code word Woodward1000 to open up your brand new Caesars Sportsbook account. When you do this, deposit at least $20 and make a first bet of $20 or more. If that first bet happens to lose, you'll get your first bet back as a bonus bet up to $1,000, but only if you scan the QR code above my head and use the code word Woodward1000 to get your brand new Caesars Sportsbook account. We'll be right back.
No one gives away more cash and prizes than Woodward Sports. You don't believe us? Here's our latest $10,000 winner.
You guys posted, hey, if you guess all this stuff right, we'll give it's $10,000. I'm like, okay, well, why the hell not?
And the winning doesn't stop there. How about our Outkick Your Coverage winner?
Let's give it up for David Tully, everybody. David Tully. This guy's got a hot girl.
Bigger prizes, bigger giveaways, cash, merch, tickets, and more. All from the biggest sports network in Detroit. No one does it bigger and better than Woodward Sports. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube for your chances to share in the winning. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Head to woodwardsports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. Woodwardsports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at woodwardsports.com.
Oh, yeah, you see it. You see the guns. You see the guns, and that's because I'm at Planet Fitness. Got the membership reactivated yesterday. That's because my fitness is essential, and they understand it at Planet Fitness. They also understand fitness that fits into your budget because they don't want to charge your arm and a leg, so they don't. No judgment, home of the judgment-free zone, as well as any membership comes with a trainer. So you can work out, you can get fit, you can get in shape, and then you can do it at your own pace because we don't judge here at Planet Fitness. It's the no judgment zone. Over 50 metropolitan Detroit locations. That's because everybody's working out Planet Fitness, so you should too.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Edwards, hour number 2.
This is my favorite part of the combine, Ryan, was the injury part. Because I never got injured at Michigan. Mm-hmm. Like the injury part is where guys that are going first overall or second or third or blah, 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 now they have to come here and be honest. Because a lot of times they're not honest. And you see Abdul Carter, there's a stress fracture in his foot, maybe #1 overall pick, maybe third or whatever, has that going on. That line that you have to wait to, it is tumultuous. I'm talking about they send guys to the hospital, and everything that has happened at your university, you got to go there and do that x-ray. Whether you sprained your shoulder or sprained your ankle or broke your knee or whatever you did, you got to wait in that line and make sure all that stuff is good. I didn't have any of that. So mine was a 0-minute wait time.
I love it. I love it. For more on this story and so much more, let's head down to Indianapolis Scouting Combine and bring in our good friend Russell Brown, NFL Draft Guru. You can follow him on X at Russ NFL Draft, Fantasy Pros, Lions Wire. Russ, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing great. We love this time of year. We love our opportunity to chat with you. And obviously the story of the day down there at the Combine is that the potential number one player in this draft, Abdul Carter, has something going on with his foot. Doctors advise him not to have surgery. What is the buzz down there with Mr. Carter?
Not much has really changed. I mean, he might not end up going first overall to a team like Tennessee, but if Tennessee is truly the team that's trying to move out of that first pick, which kind of sounds like they are, maybe they move down to a team, make a trade with the Giants. For example, they get down to 3, and maybe they're still able to land Abdul Carter. It still sounds like he's going to end up being a top 5 pick. I know the foot injury is a concern, and obviously the shoulder injury is recovering from a shoulder injury that he sustained against Boise State in the bowl game. So he's a little bit banged up, but it does sound like he'll be ready to go for the start of the NFL season, and it doesn't sound like it's going to really impact him too much. So his tape screams first overall type player, so I think teams are going to kind of operate as business as usual for him, and the teams that will be kind of within reaching distance of grabbing him will monitor the injury closely and make sure that they have updated medical reports throughout the whole process.
Russ, this story to me feels like sometimes sports radio topics in February, right? Where you just blow everything out of proportion to keep people engaged or whatever, and there's kind of a dead period, and you're pulling stuff out of everywhere, where. This feels like a nothing topic that has been scrutinized and re-scrutinized and scrutinized again. In your experience, when you see things like this, like, how should fans react to something like this? How should the player handle something like this? Because his name now is like, oh, he's going to be an injured player. If you're an injured player now, you're an injured player later. What does your experience tell you regarding that?
Yeah, for the player, just keep your nose clean. Try to make sure that you don't do anything stupid off the field to get yourself in any more, trouble. I mean, if you want to consider being injured trouble or anything like that. But it's one of those situations where just keep it clean and kind of keep your thoughts to yourself. Don't talk too much. Don't hype yourself up even more than you're already getting amped up and hyped up. And then just for the fans out there, I mean, don't buy everything that you're reading on the internet. I mean, it's one of those things where it's quote unquote lying season, right? So you hear a lot of stuff where teams might report one thing or a reporter saying something else because an agent told them this, and the agent's really just trying to do their due diligence for their player or their players to ensure that, certain players are getting overlooked, so their player goes ahead and gets looked and maybe moves up some boards. So that's really what, to me, like what I've learned the most throughout, 13, 14 years of doing this. It's just a lot of up and down during this part of the season where people will say one thing and truly another thing's going to happen. And for Abdul Carter, I think he's going to be perfectly fine. I think he's still going to be a top 5 pick and probably at the end of the day, probably a top 3 pick when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I agree with you right there. Russell, good to talk to you and hear you. I had to get get a new headset so that I can hear what you were saying.
All good, man.
Because I always appreciate the information. With the Lions having, pick 28 and they're further back in the draft and maybe they make a move or something like that, that's what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now, but more so, let's just get into what this draft is. Not worrying about the Lions. When you look at this draft, talking about the quarterback situation, is it Shedeur Sanders? Is it Cam Ward? Is it Abdul Carter? What's the energy and what is the noise like surrounding the top 5 picks in this NFL that's an offensive line-driven draft? Maybe some edge guys, but the top 5 guys, those guys are not going to be edge they won't be offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that maybe is an offensive lineman that goes in the top 5 would potentially be Will Campbell, and a lot of what's going to happen with him will circle around what's his arm length, what are his measurables, because a lot of people think he can be a guard. I personally think he's a tackle, and I think he's one of the 5 best players in this draft. If we're looking at consistency on tape, I think Will Campbell has that. But as you mentioned, just the top 5 overall of Ashton Genty, Mason Graham out of Michigan, Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Cam Ward, these guys are certainly going to fall somewhere, in that 5, 6, maybe even 7 pick range to start this draft off when we get to April, unless obviously something changes. But just looking at how the media just got around Travis Hunter when he went to the podium today. I've never seen that many players around a player, or that many reporters and team people around a player. So all eyes are on him, and the real buzz is everybody believes he can play both ways in the NFL. I still think he's a corner in the NFL. I don't think he's a receiver. I think you can package him at times, but the discipline and his eyes and his fluidity when he's playing in zone coverage and even in man coverage, I mean, he can lock guys up. He is a guy that I think is destined to be a true number 1 corner for a defense, and if you want to package him as a receiver, go ahead. I think a team like Tennessee, if they were to stay at the first overall pick, if they don't feel comfortable taking Abdul Carter, I think that they would pivot towards a generational player like a Travis Hunter, because that's what he is. He provides that for a team. He can change the course of your defense in the secondary. Or, again, if you were to play him strictly as a receiver, I still think he can be that true dog, that number 1 receiver, because I think if you're the best player at 2 positions, therefore you are the best player in the draft. I'm really intrigued with Mason Graham. A lot of that is because of, the measurables. He measured in today at 6'3", 296, only 32-inch arms, so a little bit on the short side, but he kind of gives you that Braden Fisk from Florida State vibe anyways when you watch him on tape. Also wears number 55. So I like him quite a bit. I think a lot of teams in the top 10 are going to like him a lot because he's just a spark plug, heavy, high motor. He hits with heavy hands even if he's got short arms. So I think overall teams are really looking at this draft and saying, hey, we might have to force our hand at a quarterback like Cam Ward or Shador Sanders if we can't get a bridge guy. We like some of the top-end talent in Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. You could throw Mason Graham and Will Campbell in there. But really the depth of this class in a whole, everybody's going to be looking at defensive linemen specifically today. There's going to be 72 or 73 defensive linemen at the combine that went through and got measured through the last 24 hours. So it's a crazy list of players. I think we could see 5 to 7 defensive linemen drafted each round this year.
Speaking of Michigan, let me ask you about one last player, and I'll turn the reins over to Ryan Ermanni or whoever else wants to jump in here and get some of this wisdom. Will Johnson. Will Johnson's a guy who said he will not work out the combine. That doesn't bother me. I didn't work out the combine either. But is Will Johnson going to finish, or will he be drafted in a representation of what people have been saying about him for the last year or so? He's the guy. He's number 1. He's elite. He's top 5. He's the number 1 player in the country. Will it be represented on draft day, or do you see him in a different range than, the top guys or the people right now? Because I say 7 to 12 is where I've seen him the majority of the spaces.
Yeah, that's where I think he kind of ends up in that range. Obviously, a lot of it will depend on what happens when he gets to his pro day, because he won't be testing at the combine. The medicals obviously have to check out. He was banged up this past year. It shows. He was not as physical as a player on the perimeter when tackling and those types of things. But when you're just looking at a pure coverage guy, he can run with any receiver, really fluid hips. He can open his hips, run vertically. I think stuff that he can do in zone, he should be just fine in quarters coverage, cover 3, whatever it is that he's going to drop back and do, getting in and out of his breaks. I think he's going to be really clean there. I look at New Orleans as a team at number 9. Paulson Adebo for them out of Stanford. He's a player that's set to hit the market. They traded Marshawn Lattimore. They're looking pretty thin on the defensive side of the football. I think they're going to have to revamp and retool some things. So I think New Orleans at 9 is kind of that sweet spot for him. But as you mentioned, 7 to 12 range, I could see a team like Chicago. I could see Carolina. I could obviously see Aaron Glenn falling in love with him. So I think anybody would be lucky to have him if he's healthy, and obviously if he tests well. I think a lot of people are going to be jumping at the bit to get him.
Talking to our good friend Russell Brown, NFL draft analyst, one of the greats out there too. At Russ NFL Draft is his X account if you want to follow him on that. I'm sure you all do as well. But let me ask you how different these things are when the quarterbacks aren't, like last year. There's like these 6-7 quarterbacks that you were like, holy cow, just wanted to see. This isn't that draft. How different are combines when the buzz around the quarterbacks aren't exactly there?
Yeah, it's one of those where I think when you look at it, you kind of had that expectation going into it. So for me, I'm not necessarily surprised because being in Mobile for the Senior Bowl and those types of things, I ended up getting sick down there, so I couldn't really partake in a lot of stuff. But the buzz kind of set itself there with, Jackson Dart and the guys that were competing down there, Riley Leonard and stuff like that. And they did fine. And I think Jackson Dart's really intriguing. But we know Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders aren't going to throw. And, again, that's fine with me because either way, it's all going to be on air, and the tape speaks for itself. I see what the player does when he's getting faced with pressure. Shedeur, he stands tall in the pocket, takes some shots, and delivers some strikes over the middle of the field. That sits just fine with me. Cam Ward, I like. I think the arm strength and arm angles and velocity is all there, but he's a guy that drifts a little bit in the pocket when he's setting his feet, and it causes him to miss some throws, whether it be a comeback route or a deep out. So I think there's some things that he could work on, and Sanders the same, and Jackson Dart, I think, can really put on a show. So I think a lot of people are captivated by him because there's kind of some Josh Allen-esque to him. Not saying he is Josh Allen, but the way he throws the football, he can really hit those dig routes and post routes really, really quick and efficiently. So I think fans and just people in general are really captivated by him. And then you look just down the list. I mean, Jalen Milroe, what's he going to run? What's he going to test? Because we know he's a weapon when the football's in his hands. How's he going to throw the football? He's a guy that, from the far hash, he can hit a deep out when he's, on the near hash and he's trying to throw that out. He doesn't hit it. He throws it out of bounds. So he's kind of all over the place, and that's really the case with all these quarterbacks. There's really nobody that sets themselves apart, in my opinion. And I think at any given day, it's got like, I've said it on this show many times, in any show, it's like ice cream, right? You pick your flavor. Every day you could kind of pick a different flavor with these quarterbacks, and I think you'd be okay. But some of these teams can't just be okay. They've got to be hitting home runs, and it's just going to be really interesting how it unfolds over the next couple of days with guys like Sanders and Ward opting to just, compete at their pro day.
Without question. Russ, let me ask you about how many players, and I don't know if you've done this part of your analysis yet or this part of your breakdown yet, but how many first-round players will there be in this draft? And I know there's 32 of them, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, first-round grades.
First-round grades for the players in this draft.
Well, up to this point for me, I have 13, but that's I'm a little bit more strict when it comes to the way that I grade, and I don't have a single quarterback with a first-round grade. So people will say that I'm crazy there. I think at the end of the day, that's probably going to be the range, somewhere between 12 to 15, maybe 10 to 15 if I want to make it a little bit broader. But I think we will see teams obviously have much stricter boards, and I think that's why I've kind of adapted to that style, because in reality, your favorite teams, whether it's the Lions or the Cardinals or the Falcons, whoever, they have a strict board that they stick to, and it does not match what you see in the national media by myself or NFL.com or whoever, or even you guys at Woodward Sports. They obviously it doesn't match, which is why a lot of the times we get a lot of what we're saying wrong, because we don't see their board and their process, but their process is what it is. So they're pretty strict to what they do, and they might have only one or two offensive tackles with a first-round grade. They might only have one corner, one pass rusher, one quarterback, So it kind of feels like one or two per position in the NFL. And I'm not saying I try to copy that model. At the end of the day, I follow the film and the grade book, and what it is what it is. But I'm sitting there with 13 right now and still got some work left to do. But and a lot of the grades will finalize over the next couple of days when we get through the combine, and then obviously with some pro days. But I like this class. At the top, there's some players that really intrigue me. I think in the second and third round is where you're going to make your money. It's the meat and the potatoes of the draft. I love the defensive line class, and I think you can make a case for running back as well. There's a lot of great running backs in this draft.
And when you turn your attention to the Lions, whether there's 13, 14, 15 first-round graded players, it appears that defensive line class really is a solid group, whether it's depth players or just really good, solid NFL players that teams are going to get to select. That's exactly what the Lions need. Drafting at the end of the first round, do you like their ability, I guess, from where they are to get one of those really high-level defensive line type players?
I do. I mean, I would love to see them land Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. I don't think that will be the case when today gets over with. I think he's going to test really well. I think he's going to interview really well, and I think he's one of the 15 best players in this draft. So I think that's going to be the range that he ends up going. I could see them settling for like a Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M, which is just fine. I think there's plenty to be intrigued there at 6'3", 257. I think he's got a lot of power to his game, not as much speed, but he tries to turn speed to power. Kind of reminds you of like a little bit of like a Josh Pascal.
Yeah.
So if you can live with two of those guys off the edge, kind of going back and forth, I think that's okay. Because at pick 28, I mean, you're talking about the back end of the first round. The odds of moving up to try to get one of these guys is going to be probably slim to none, because it's hard to land them at the trade deadline, as we've heard Brad Holmes say. It's going to be hard to do it on draft day to move up for one of these guys too, because everybody's chomping at the bit to try to get a Mikel Williams, a Jalen Walker, a Mike Green, those types of players. And that's the thing, guys like James Pierce and Mike Green, they've got some off the field stuff that they've got to clean up. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Lions had Mike Green off their board because of the character concerns, because, they play it safe. They don't want bad guys in the locker room. They want good guys in the locker room, but they're nasty on the field. So I think at the end of it, I still think they lean towards defensive line. If the draft were today, they might end up going with the defensive tackle to kind of give them insurance in case Aleem McNeil's not ready to go. If that's the case, maybe they look at Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, 6'4", 296. Plenty to like with him. I like him as a 3-tech, but I could see him playing as a 4-eye. I could see him playing as a 2-eye, and which is fine. I think he would pair well with DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil, and then you can kind of fluctuate from there.
You see, I'm glad I learned how to listen nowadays, because I had a question. Now I have a different question. I want to ask you about that. The character here in Detroit. When Detroit, whether it's Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, when they get together, there's certain players that they're out on because of the character issues, because of what they heard or the vetted processes they've done. And some of those players end up being tremendous players. Look at what Jalen Carter is able to do last 2 years with Philadelphia Eagles. Micah Parsons is another one. Although I believe Panay may have been their guy from jump, Micah Parsons had issues that moved him down to 11. Do you think the Detroit Lions will ever get to a space where they'll get comfortable with trusting this culture that they've created? They've created a culture that's amazing in terms of guys buying into a program, in terms of guys being there, in terms of guys putting themselves ahead of others and sacred for the team. But now you can bring some of these guys that are bad characters into this culture. Do you think the Lions and Brad Campbell will ever, Brad Holmes or Brad Campbell, I guess, do you think they will ever be able to get over that and start to maybe take some of these guys in and try it out?
I think so. I mean, I think they've kind of shown that they've adapted a little bit. Maybe not so much in the pre-draft process, but during a player's tenure with the team, we've seen what they did with Jamison Williams, right? I mean, like he's made quite a few mistakes, but they've worked with him and they continue to trust and believe in him. And I mean, we see it starting to pay off. He's starting to become a superstar. I mean, he had over 1,000 yards and he's really starting to look like the type of player that you would build your offense around, and it feels like that's what they're going to end up doing. So it's hard to say during the draft process because I don't get to see all the behind the scenes stuff for when they talk with these guys and stuff like that. So it is hard to say because some stuff is hearsay, and you hear it through a scout or you hear it through an agent or something about a certain player. So it is tough, but I think that this is a team that they know what they're looking for, and we can always trust that they're going to be able to weed out the bad ones and still find some really solid ones.
Russ, let me ask you a real question. This doesn't have anything to do with the draft. It's more along the lines of J-Mo and what you just said. Do you think if the Lions hadn't to move up 20 picks to pick J-Mo and he would have done the same stuff, that they would have let him go? Like, do you believe the Lions kind of say, all right, well, look, we moved up 20 picks to get this guy. We got to make ourselves right in this situation. Do you think they would have let him go if they would have drafted him at 20, whatever that pick would have been?
Yeah, yes and no. I think it's a great question because it's hard for me to. I know I should not play the fence. It's bad for radio, and I know that.
This is true. And I apologize for putting you in that situation.
And I'm playing politician here, like I always do. But for me, it's like a yes and no because I see both sides of the coin here. Because I think yes, that would have played a part, but at the same time, no, I don't think it would have mattered because the talent is what the talent is, and you know what type of talent that you have. And if they truly believe and feel like, hey, this guy's a superstar in the making, no matter what's going to happen, we are going to do everything that we can to do right by him and ensure that he doesn't go down a bad path. Plus, if he's clicking with the locker room and the wide receiver room loves him and the coaches love him, which it sounds like they all do, I think at the end of the day, you got to just try to accept that and hope that you can sleep at night with no incidents happening and those types of things. So I would still say no. I think he'd still be a part of this thing because I think they truly love the player and they love him as a person, not just what he provides them on the field.
Russ, we can't thank you enough for the time you've spent with us today. We really appreciate it. Love your insight. Big fans of yours. And again, great stuff down there covering the NFL Combine and all this great draft analysis that we will get from you coming up over the next several weeks. And, hey, NFL Draft
St.
right
Elmo's,
around the
man.
corner. That's right. Get yourself a shrimp
Some
cocktail
St.
from St. Elmo's. That's right. At Russ
Thanks, guys.
NFL,
Appreciate you, Russ.
at Russ NFL Draft, at Lions Wire, at Fantasy Pros. Check him out, Russell Brown, NFL Draft Guru. Thanks so much. We have to take a break. Come right back. More of Woodward Sports when we return. But first, a message from us here at Woodward Sports.
You got. Turn your mic on.
Oh, there we go. All right. Like I was saying before my mic wasn't on, are you tired of wearing the same old Detroit sports merch? It's a new era in sports wearables, new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Check out shop.woodwardsports.com. Hoodies, tees, hats, all of the new designs are guaranteed to turn heads. So make sure you check out the latest designs right now. Shop.woodwardsports.com. We'll be right back.
No one gives away more cash and prizes than Woodward Sports. You don't believe us? Here's our latest $10,000 winner.
You know, you guys posted, hey, if you guess all this stuff right, we'll give it's $10,000. I'm like, okay, well, why the hell not?
And the winning doesn't stop there. How about our Outkick Your Coverage winner?
I think you won. We got
This guy's got a hot girl.
Bigger prizes, bigger giveaways, cash, merch, tickets, and more. All from the biggest sports network in Detroit. No one does it bigger and better than Woodward Sports. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube for your chances to share in the winning. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app online or in club and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
WoodwardSports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. WoodwardSports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at WoodwardSports.com.
Dreaming of a new home but feeling that financial pinch? Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right, you heard me. Up to $5,000 of your closing costs. Mark White and Associates will handle that, all right? Make sure you call them today at 248-290-8242, or you can visit them at markwhitesales.com. Again, call Mark White today, 248-290-8242, to make your dreams come true.
We can expound more on this tomorrow. Maybe we can even have Maz or you call up your good friend Mary Kay Cabot.
Hey, Mary Kay.
In Cleveland.
Boy, she threw me on the bus.
That's right. Time. New reporting just today regarding the Myles Garrett situation. he is having no contact whatsoever with the Cleveland Browns regarding a new contract extension. He is reiterating that he is absolutely done in Cleveland. He knows that Cleveland general manager said, we will not trade Myles Garrett. We will not trade Myles Garrett. And maybe that was a negotiating ploy from the Cleveland Browns. Every time Myles Garrett speaks, it is taking a little bit more negotiating power away from the Cleveland Browns because he insists he is out of there.
Could you imagine being stuck in Cleveland? Like, it's like a dream.
Well, tell us.
Tell us about that.
I can't imagine stuff, but I want to stuff like him. He's finished 8 seasons there, like he truly is stuck. But this is real, because basically, let's say you're any GM or any front office calling for or about Myles Garrett, he's out. He wants out. So whatever the Browns say, well, look, come on, Cleveland. We know you're letting him go. Like, so this is what we're willing to pay. And smart for at the end of the day, Myles is Myles. Myles is like, no. Like, I'm not staying here in Cleveland. So there's nothing else to talk about. And I like it.
No doubt.
But it's a situation, man. Cleveland always finds themselves, at least in these situations, whether it's Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, it's Deshaun Watson, because that's the next thing that they're going to have to deal with. Like, this is really kind of the fun part for Cleveland, because that Deshaun Watson situation is going to get ugly.
Right. Dr. Jeff Pierce, we expect him momentarily. But before we get to Dr. Jeff Pierce, I wanted to talk to you about this, Braylon. And it's regarding youth sports, and it's when we had when we were
Boys and Girls Club Southeast Detroit.
The Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Detroit, with our partnership with them over the last several years, really. It has been refreshing to see how they approach youth sports. And I am, what's the word I'm looking for? I am so sad at what's happened to youth sports. Danny Cannell, former quarterback at Florida State. He's very vocal on Twitter, on X. But he said something today, and it just kind of started this snowball conversation again. Growing up, travel ball typically meant we might play a few games or tournaments within about a 3-hour drive. In the next 2 months, I will take my daughter to Kansas City, Orlando, Louisville, Indianapolis, and Dallas for club volleyball. Dan Orlovsky chimed in and said, it's absurd. Got to fight it. No, we won't be at 3 practices a week at 9 years old. No, we won't play 7 games a weekend. No, we aren't practicing till 9 a.m. And then he said, Danny Cannell responds with, I've been trying, but the older they get, the harder it becomes. Don't get me started. No one, I think this is the most profound thing I've heard in quite some time when it comes to sports. No one plays sports anymore. They train for sports. And that is the saddest thing that I have really heard of in this youth sports world. And I wish Tom Mazaway was here, because he's had 3 girls go through it just recently. He's got a high school daughter that has been in the thick of it. And I've got my own friends that have 9-year-old kids and that play hockey tournaments all over the country. And I've got 12-year-old friends, 10 and 11 and 12-year-old friends that their kids play baseball that play all over the country. It is this unstoppable force, and you can't say no. I mean, you can. I understand that. But the reality is, if your kid wants to play baseball, there doesn't seem to be many opportunities anymore for you to just play a rec league. It just doesn't seem to exist anymore. And I'm not sure where this goes. But it's just tremendously sad what has happened to youth sports to me.
Yeah, 99% of those kids aren't playing in anybody's pros, and that's the bad realization of it. Parents can spend all that money. 90% of your kids, they're not making it to the pros.
But it's not the kids; it's these leagues and those coaches.
I understand that.
I'm getting there, Braylon. I know. I'm sorry.
No, you good. I was about to
sorry.
get there. It's like it's.
I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good. You're good. Like you're not going. And the second part of it too is you're taking the fun out of it. A lot of these kids get burnt out, and now they're only doing it to what you said is because mom and dad they believe that I'm gonna do this, or they're trying to keep up with Peggy and Sue and John that live in the neighborhood that we go to coffee with and blah blah blah. They're trying to keep up. It sucks. It sucks because now you have these kids on this repeat process of being a robot and they're not having any fun. We did this, and I agree with Danny Cannell back in the day. You know, you may go a couple places, but you're going to play. It's going to be fun. Yeah, you want to go to the NBA. Yeah, you want to go to the NFL. Yeah, you want to be in the MLB. But just playing was the fun part. If you were good and you went, you went. And now it's a business into which now you frustrate kids with sports.
It's the leagues. In my opinion, I know where I live, not every sport has a city league. I feel like growing up, there was city league you could play. You just play like the people in your leagues. Maybe you go to a town over, and then there was like another level to where it's like for basketball's AAU as an example, to where it's like, all right, that's a little more serious. Those are the kids who probably gonna play in college and stuff like that. But there's not city league. Like where I live in Farmington Hills, there's no city league football. There's like a company that comes in and they do it, and that's where I think it gets a little crazy.
My wife got a text message from another mother at school. Last week or whenever, and asked her to reach out to me to see if there's any like rec league out there that you could play baseball that's, you know, non-competitive. And I don't mean by non-competitive, but just like where you don't have 3 practices a week as a 9-year-old or you know, you're playing 6 games Saturday and Sunday, stuff like that. You know, like you just play maybe a game a week or 2 games a week.
Did you ever do the City League in Grosse Pointe like I did? I mean, you and I are from the same area. Did you ever do the City League? But our practices were like, I think twice a week, maybe once.
When I was playing youth ball, I played at St. Veronica. You know, I went to St. Veronica in East Detroit.
Gotcha.
So then I did that, and then
I played Belle Isle.
Yeah, and then my summer team was a travel team.
Right.
Was, you know, the Detroit Hornets, which we would travel to Shelby Township, or we would travel to Livonia,
the Tri-County area.
We would travel to Delia Park, you know, just in Utica. You know what I mean?
Park in
that
Detroit.
Was where we traveled to.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
I feel bad at what the city sports has done, and for the black community, where we notice more is the drop off in MLB professional baseball player. Like, there's no black players anymore because they took baseball out of the city sports. Talking about city sports, we all play city sports. You could play baseball. Like, now it's so taxing. That's where you see all the black individuals, football and basketball. Because in football and basketball, your parents could drop you off at the basketball court. All you need is a ball. Football, same similar thing. If you're good, you get noticed, you get taken care of. But that baseball, they took it out of the community, and that's why in baseball is white, Asian, and Dominican, or Latin American, I should say.
I truly don't know how families that live on a budget afford it.
You
mean, it is.
You need a sponsor.
What is it nowadays?
Such a shame.
Like, what's Lukey for karate?
You know what? It's so funny you said that. I earlier today I got a text from the sensei that said, "Hey, his contract's coming up in March," and so I mean, well, it's like it's twice a week, and you could do monthly, you could do yearly, you could do. You know, 3 months. So there's a different range.
Gotcha.
Depending upon how much he wants to do it. Does he want to do it 1 day a week? Does he want to do it 2 days a week? Do you want to pay for a month? Do you want to pay for 3 months? Do you want, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's much different than, and I'm just taking him down the street to the thing, and there might be 1 tournament every 3 months.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know, so it's such a different thing. Yeah, I feel, you know, we played baseball last year, my little guy Lukey, and he's not into sports. He's just not into sports yet, and maybe he will, and maybe he won't. And he loves comic books, and he loves not comic books, but he loves superheroes and Marvel movies and all this stuff. Something that I am not into, so it's nice for me to get into. But he played baseball last year. I bought this bat for like $250.
Man,
my friends are telling me this is cheap. You know what I mean?
You
You know? And so I don't know, man. It was crazy. It's crazy what's happened. So, guys, one more break. We'll take the break, and I don't know. Maybe there's been some communication with Maz that we haven't seen, but we have not seen Dr. Jeff Pierce. Maybe we'll get him in tomorrow. And if that's the case, we'll just continue around some other NFL stories happening, including overtime rules. Could be changing. Overtime rules could be changing. We'll talk about that next. But first, the message from us right here.
No one gives away more cash and prizes than Woodward Sports.
I'm sorry,
you
Your
don't
Honor.
believe us? Here's our latest $10,000 winner.
You know, you guys posted, hey, if you guess all this stuff right, we'll give it's $10,000. I'm like, okay, well, why the hell not?
And the winning doesn't stop there. How about our Outkick Your Coverage winner?
Let's give it up for David Tully, everybody. David Tully. This guy's got a hot girl.
Bigger prizes, bigger giveaways, cash, merch, tickets, and more. All from the biggest sports network in Detroit. No one does it bigger and better than Woodward Sports. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube for your chances to share in the winning. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Hey, welcome back. It is the time of the week that we talk to our good friend, our WSN injury insider, Dr. Jeff Pierce, Michigan Sports and Spine. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Love this weather here.
It's like you were hiding behind the wall because I couldn't see you. I was like, I don't know, maybe he called Maz and he's not here.
Speaking of the weather, what is it down every time? I'm acting like you're a meteorologist, but every time I go down to LCA, I don't care who's playing. If it's the Red Wings or the Pistons or it's a concert, it always rains. Yesterday it rained. I was leaving Pontiac, head downtown, entered a whole freaking tsunami from Big Beaver to about 14 Mile Road, and then again 11 to 9 Mile. Like, I just had the worst luck, but it was fun down there last night. I tell you that.
Yeah, who are the Pistons? Who are these guys?
Who's anybody in that building right now? I think it's just good juju in the building, and everybody's grasping a little bit. Red Wings as well.
Finally, I mean, LCA is a beautiful building. I mean, granted, I love the Palace. I think the Palace is the best place.
Yeah, 100%.
But with that, we're definitely it needs. Maybe someone came in with a different feng shui. They put some, that burn thing, the sage burn, finally came through.
Kyrie might have helped us out, man. Burned a little sage for us. But yeah, no, it was, the atmosphere is electric. I feel like some people were sick last night. There's something going around. It wasn't as crowded as I thought it would be, but it didn't stop them from doing what they had to do. They blew out the Celtics.
Yeah, I think Boston underestimated them or something. We look good or Boston look bad?
We look really good. Boston did look bad in the beginning. They were missing some shots that they should have made, and being honest about that. But we were really good last night, and Cade didn't play his best. That's what excited me. Cade didn't play particularly well, but other people on the team stepped up, most notably Malik Beasley. Yeah, they're legit.
Yeah,
They're
I
legit.
mean, look, we're in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, we're in the fifth. We're in the sixth spot by like we're 2 games out or a game and a half out of the fifth spot.
We're fighting for.
We're in the 6th spot.
5th spot. I'm saying.
Oh,
we're fighting.
We're fighting for home court.
That's what we are fighting for,
That's
baby.
wild.
You know it.
We're not even talking playoffs. We're talking home court.
Playoffs. Hey, Dr. Pierce, I wanted to ask you, there's really, in some news today, but there's really nothing to even talk about, I don't think, because...
We can talk about Ivy's comeback.
Well, we could talk about that, and we will talk about that in 1 second. I just want to let the people know, Matt Vierling, word coming out of Tiger Spring Training is that he is unavailable. He's suffering a right shoulder injury. We know nothing about it. So there's really nothing to even ask you about it other than it's a shoulder injury, and he's out right now. So it could be serious. It could be not serious. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the shoulder, especially for baseball players, are important, but they're not saying, it's rotator cuff. They're being very nondescript. So he's probably got some unusual achiness, which is usually an impingement sign, where you kind of move through a dynamic motion. That's what's exciting about the shoulder, or a problem with the shoulder, is in a static picture, meaning when you're still, your shoulder can be fine. But there's so much dynamic motion with baseball, you can have what we call an impingement, where either the bones kind of rub against each other, the ligament gets caught in between the bones. It's a positional thing. When some of those ligaments, as you move between the humeral head and the cup, the ball and socket there, you got a lot of anatomy going through there where you can have what we generically say as an impingement. So what does that mean? Just kind of what it says. When you get to a certain position of your shoulder, you're pinching off that opening and either irritating the ligament, which then becomes inflamed, then gets worse, and then you just kind of have a snowball effect of it all. So that's why we use a lot of creams, some of the secret sauce, obviously. But, I mean, we're definitely pushing for, we're kind of talking generic on shoulders. If it's a rotator cuff or a labral tear, there's, like I said, a lot of anatomy. The rotator cuff is the 4 big muscles. The labrum is 2 tight ligaments that hold the shoulder in tight. But there's also like bicep tendonitis, which is just an irritation kind of coming up the front. And then there's the AC joint. So there's, just for the shoulder, I mean, there's just right there, there's 8 different things that potentially could be wrong.
Talking to Dr. Jeff Pierce, you had mentioned Jaden Ivey. We saw him on the bench last night with the Detroit Pistons. A broken fibula in early January. At the time, they said it was about a 4 to 6 month window for a return, and they were not closing the door on him coming back before the regular season conclusion in mid-April. What do we make of Jaden Ivey's recovery, and have you liked what you've seen from him just walking on the bench and things like this?
He's still, because there's that video that surfaced the other day too. He's walking still very gingerly. He's not putting full weight. He doesn't look confident on that leg. But that, with his age and what happens in a short period of time, the fibula, again, is not a big weight-bearing bone. It's a smaller bone from your knee down to your ankle. The tibia is the bigger bone. Like with Aiden Hutchinson, it was both bones that were broken. Much bigger issue. And he looked great after 4 months. You're talking he needs to be ready in about 4 to 6 weeks. Basketball
4 to 6 months.
No, I know, but to be making for playoffs, he's going to be ready in 4 to 6 weeks.
Gotcha.
But can he be a valuable player at that point? I mean, the team's gelling right now. He's obviously a key player for the future. I think it's game to game. I think is he putting the accelerator on for recovery? I don't know. I don't know if he's got that. Like Aiden had the accelerator on for possible Super Bowl. Ivy, now their team's playing well. Maybe he's getting a different mindset. Yeah, I want to be ready for playoffs because you got to push yourself. You got to do everything perfect. In recovery, you can do. I'm doing it, but when I say you put the pedal to the metal, You're doing everything right. You're with that trainer that extra half hour. You're there an extra half hour early. You're using the creams. You're making sure you stay in that ice bath. You're making sure you control all the secondary things. If you're just like, hey, this season's done, I got 4 to 6 months, he's not pushing it. So I think the mental, when it happened, we weren't even playoff bound in the playoffs in January.
Right.
A lot has changed. I mean, the Pistons are like a full turnaround team right now. So hopefully his attitude, that time in the training room and stuff like that, but he's still walking a little ginger. But his age and his recovery, he can look a lot different in 2 weeks if he's committed, because he's got that healing. He's out of the boot. He needs to deal with that soft tissue. He needs to start getting that feedback. Because when you're in the boot, you just cut off all that proprioception. You're cutting off all that feedback system. Now he's out of the boot. He's got to get a lot more recovery. So I would say in 2 weeks we could probably make a better prediction for him to whether he's going to make it come back. But he's got to mentally say, yeah, I want to do everything I can to get to the playoffs.
You had mentioned Aiden Hutchinson's name, and I wanted to go back to something that you said a couple of weeks ago when we talked, and I thought it was really profound. And I just want to reiterate that I heard what I heard, and it was, yes, he's going to be back. Yes, he is going to play. But when you come off that injury, are you going to get top 5 in the NFL Aiden Hutchinson play? Or is he going to be capable to be a top 5, if not top 3, NFL defensive end in 2025? Or is he going to be a top 20, top 25 guy? There's a big difference there when you're building a championship team. You certainly expected him to be that top 3, top 5 guy for 2026. But what about this year when you're building a championship team? How much goes into that?
I mean, I think the Lions, another factor to that is that he's got a lot more distraction. He's not the one-off on the team. You got a lot of good players, so the other team needs to focus. If he was double-teamed every time, can he fight through it like he used to? Does he have that quickness? I'm a believer. I mean, I'm going to sit here. I'm a believer. Will he be? When you say top 1 through 3, I'm not giving him that right out of the gate. I want to see what happens those first few games, but I know he's going to be top 10. He's going to be top 10 mentally. We talked about Myles Garrett. Obviously, that's gone away. They have another distraction to that defensive front. But he's got other players that the offensive line needs to worry about. So that's going to free him up to do a lot more. If he was on a team that wasn't contending, like I always pick on the Raiders, they can just focus on Aiden and shut him down. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to have some freedom. I think he's going to be able to come back. But as far as his strength and ability, I think this guy ignores a lot, right? He ignores what was yesterday. He lives a lot in the present, and I think that's going to help. I think that recovery is going to be better. That first hit's going to be better. That first I'm going to be okay is going to be better. So I think, I'm confident in the top 10. You go for the top 3. I mean, 2026 for sure, I'm still holding to that. Mm-hmm. But 2025, I'm not betting against him. But I don't think he's going to get MVP. But he's going to be a big force.
I think 10 to 15 is fair, considering he's never been top 3. Like, he was on his way, but he hadn't gotten there yet. I was going to ask you about the same guy. It's funny you brought up Aiden Hudson. He was at the game yesterday at LCA.
Oh, really?
He didn't move one time. Like, he legit had that foot propped up, and he was chilling the entire time that he was there, letting it rest. So I was like, oh, okay, he's still taking care of the leg. He's not out here just frolicking, signing autographs, and doing the whole 9 yards. He's out, but he's not out. No.
He's being cautious. Maybe cautious. He might have had
Smart.
enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's no reason to push it.
I was going to just ask you, what do you got going on? What's important to you these days? What are you working on?
I mean, I have a guest here. Katie's here from DMC, or the new program, which is more of our disabled sports stuff. I talked a little bit about our sled hockey and Vladdy. She's a very integral part of disabled sports in the state of Michigan, especially in Southeast Michigan. So we're working together on reviving that and bringing people. And like for our viewers, if anybody knows anybody disabled, and what does that mean? That means people with amputees, spinal cord injuries, disabilities, mental disabilities, visual disabilities. We're about that. I've been around this thing for 28 years, and for some reason we're not seeing as many people coming out. So we're here to create more of an awareness program, create programs like we're going to get our tennis program going again. We have a swimming program. Obviously, we have our basketball. We're starting softball. The sled hockey's starting to take off, which we're promoting. But a lot of people with disabilities, we want to be able to come out. Like, for Athletes Unlimited, life isn't expected to be a spectator sport. So it's fun because, we just had a big meeting a week ago, and it's funny because we talked to the parents, right? The worst thing is to have a child that can't participate in sports. Mm-hmm. And with us creating these sports, like we talk about the sled hockey, these kids are now, we're hearing from the parents, which it's very heartwarming that my son is proud of who he is in his sport. He's got that, we all played sports. It's that team. It's that like a purpose, whatever that fancy word is that I can't find right now. But it's emotional, and it's what everybody should be able to experience. And all disabled people, we're providing that outlet.
Let me know if I can do anything on the television side of things to bring more awareness to that as well. I'd be more than happy to help.
We're definitely going to call you out on that.
You got it. Absolutely. I'd be
and
more
I know
than happy to help.
Braylon, you guys have been at the events.
I'll get you in. We can do a segment next week if you want. Whatever you need. More than happy to be able to help with that, to help get the word out. Love to have you both in. To Fox 2, and we can do a segment, something on that.
Yeah, that would be great. We'll bring in a couple of our athletes. It's funny because I got surprised. They surprised me with one of our young athletes for the young basketball team, and he was like so humbly proud because he got MVP of the tournament. He had a great 3-point average. He's just mom. And you could see mom behind him like. That's my son. I'm proud of him. It's that cool feeling.
That's awesome.
It's kind of like Braylon's parents when he would catch that winning pass. But it's not funny. You don't have to be a Braylon Edwards at the University of Michigan, the big house, to have that emotional attachment.
Feeling. That feeling, that confidence, that joy, that just doing something that feels very regular to a lot of people. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. Anyway,
I still talk about my 7th grade winning free throws, and I got the net. I got the net for that championship.
So you don't have to hear about the 7th grade. No, I'm just kidding. Dr. Pierce, we love you, man. Thanks so much. MichiganSportsAndSpine.com. Bray, get us out of here, and we'll talk. You got my number.
A lot of fun. Excited about these Detroit Pistons as well as the Red Wings, man. So if you're not tuning in, you're missing out. Tune in to them. Support your squads. We've been complaining for years that, I would support the Pistons if. I would support the Red Wings if. I would support, well, guess what? That time is here. All the teams are balling, so it's your turn to do your job. Support your squads. From man Ryan Ermanni, Ricky Burns, Dr. Jeff Pierce, P. Spivak. We are Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.